Mother speaks. I am Great Mother, Holy Spirit, Yin, Divine Mother, Cosmic Womb, Deep Space, the Moon, Dark Matter, the Void, the Black Hole, Atar, Isis, Diana, Mommy Ishtar, Kali, Mammy, and Mother Mary. Hello, welcome to Great Mother Speaks. I'm Tammy Taylor, your manifestation muse, and today,
you know, when you're learning an entirely different culture and you don't speak the language, there's a surrender to knowing there's a limitation to how much you're going to actually be able to absorb. Because the nature of learning and the authenticity of integrating the information is compromised. And so as a result, you just make a truce with yourself that I'm going to get out of this what I need to get out of this. And that is the truce that I've made with myself with Vedic astrology. And so I say that because it's timely with this Pisces full moon in Shatabisha Nakshatra. I always remember Shatabisha Nakshatra because Nakshatra, see, there we go. It's different culture, different language, and, you know, struggling to pronounce and everything. But Spirit always gives us what we need. And what I need is to remember the essential elemental truth of these constellations. There are 27 of them. Shatabisha is at the end of Aquarius and the beginning of Pisces. And so we're in a Pisces full moon in both the Western and the Vedic. But it's important in the Vedic to look at the nakshatras, particularly when we are talking about the moon. It's a lunar astrology, and these are lunar-based constellations. I always remember Shatabisha because when I first heard it, it sounded to me like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Now, those of you who are raised in the Baptist tradition like I was, you might recall who they are. They were the three wise brothers who would not bow down to the king of Babylon. And they were rewarded as a result. This is a great planetary fear at this time, to stand in one's truth of their divinity. And this nakshatra is such a powerful one because it speaks to the reward for doing so. And if you recall, you know, they ended up being really high respected officials of Babylon because their God was leading them through all the trials and tribulations of not bowing down to this king. And everybody was like, what? He's going to kill you. He threw them into a fiery furnace. You know, he didn't just throw them in jail, or he didn't just, have a death sentence where they were killed in some, way, that everybody could watch and be, even put on a cross like Jesus Christ. He threw them in a furnace, and Jesus came and walked them out. And so, all of this, we understand as mythology because we are so deep into what Great Mother says is and in translation from the Vedas too, is called, the Sea of Forgetfulness. It is not a judgment or condemnation. We came into this world for a reason. We are under the veil of forgetfulness for a reason. Forgetfulness of what? Of our divinity, in order for us to learn how to use our power. As a good parent, you give your child, a little leash, a little bit at a time as they demonstrate their ability to maintain their lives. As long as they're safe, well, then we can loosen up a little bit and a little bit and a little bit. And that's how we grow. It's the same thing with us, as above, so below. So this nakshatra is all about feeling that power. And we're in an age where we're being so blessed with so many powerful downloads that if you are not in tune with your divinity, it's freaking people out. And so they're using it in different ways. For example, we were talking about an MDT support group about how all of the mass murders and things that are going on, it's really about a confusion that people are having internally. It has nothing to do with the external world. That's our first impulse, is to externalize everything that's happening. Oh, it's because of this, it's because of politics, it's because of that. No, 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 no. All war begins within. And the inner war is, as Great Mother, through the Great Mother Speaks Oracle deck, guides us through a rebirth and a regeneration of our divinity, through the release of MDT identity, the shame, blame, and guilt of the abandonment and abuse of our birth mothers. We have to, as individuals, undergo this internal rebirth. And what is rebirth? Rebirth is a death of the old self. And so just like everything else, instead of sitting with that, we go into addiction, which is just another word for pain avoidance. We go into drug addiction, sex addiction, or just addiction to trying to control others, which the ultimate expression of that is murderous behavior, whether it is through the spoken word or through action, which we can also use as a very powerful, loving tool, action and the spoken word, to uplift and to encourage through the signs and symbols, just as the signs and symbols through this Vedic astrology, whether I understand Hindu or I understand Sanskrit or not, Spirit is going to give me what it needs to give me in order to use me as a vehicle to speak to whoever needs to hear what it's saying. For those who do want to go through this rebirthing process and going through the fire, as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego did, they had to prove to themselves that they were worthy to rule Babylon. They were just humble believers in God. And that's what is meant by the meek shall inherit the earth. The humility goes through an experience of gaining the wisdom of knowing that it has a value to the world. And that's what this transition from the Piscean age of the Christ consciousness into the Aquarian age, which is about embodying the Christ consciousness as individuals. We live Christ consciousness as individuals. We live what he taught as individuals. In other words, we dance to the beat of our own drum, just like he did. He just showed us an example of how he did it, how he embraced his divinity and believed in his God, despite the what they call them, the Sadducees, the Pharisees and the Sadducees were against him. The high priests were against him and his teaching of the great Father. And so we are coming into that, and Great Mother, Father God are injecting us and the planet with the power to do it. But if we don't know what we're being injected with, we are interpreting it as fear, because we are so filled with fear due to this sea of forgetfulness that we're in, that has got us in this addiction to external manifestation of Great Mother, Father God, as opposed to the internal. So this is all about us connecting with that during this season. The full moon is in Pisces in both the Western and in the Vedic astrology. And as we know, Pisces is the teetering, tottering slope that we walk between delusion and enlightenment, between self-deception and self-awareness. The Leo new moon, Great Mother did an extended introduction about what this season leading up to January 2020 is all about. So if you want to check that out, there is a link in the information box below. This full moon, Great Mother wants to bring our attention to the Vedic aspect of this season with this full moon in Pisces, in the Vedic and in the Western. Now, what's interesting is that in the Vedic astrology, Neptune, as opposed to in the Western astrology, being in Pisces at this time, creating a great deal of delusionment and difficulty with that dance, with awareness. In the soul astrology, or the cosmic astrology as opposed to the geocentric, earth-centric ego astrology that is basically the tropical astrology that's focused on our egoic experience, our ego reaction to life. In the soul astrology, we're actually looking at how, why, when, and for what purpose the soul incarnated. Neptune here is in Aquarius, and so this period of time has to do with what the collective consciousness is undergoing in terms of its internal dance between illusion and awareness around humanity, around what it wants to collectively contribute on a soul level to this transitional phase between the Piscean age and the Aquarian age. This is why this particular period is so intense. So what Great Mother wants to focus on in this introduction to your full moon Pisces reading is the idea that you, from a soul perspective, are looking toward the future at this particular time, or you're looking in the past at this particular time, at yourself, at your experience at this particular time. And you're either saying, wow, I am really living up to my greatest soul potential at this time to free myself from the bondage, from the attachment to forgetfulness of my divinity, forgetfulness of my soul essence, forgetfulness of my birthright to be happy, healthy, and whole. I am releasing myself from that forgetfulness. I'm doing my level best as a conscious being to do that. Or I am overwhelmed by the challenges of doing that. And either way, Great Mother is inviting us to receive the eternal grace and mercy that is available to us, particularly as the planet is experiencing the disorder of mama drama trauma, which this channel focuses on to heal. Mama drama trauma being that condition in which the mother projects unhealed aspects of herself onto the child, causing emotional and or physical trauma. And in cases where she's unwilling, unable, and unavailable, she may have transitioned to heal her own MDT. Loving detachment is necessary for the child to live a happy, healthy, and whole life. In other words, for us to fully embrace our birthright to be happy, healthy, and whole. Living in loving detachment is necessary to do that. So the Great Mother Speaks Oracle deck was channeled for us to have a daily practice of releasing ourselves from that bondage of attachment to the toxic mama experience, the forgetfulness that the drama engenders about our divinity, and the trauma that we experience as a result, the dissociative experience from our soul that keeps us in bondage. So the opportunity this full moon is to, from the tropical perspective, look at the harvest of the year. This has been a very intense year with Saturn and Jupiter in retrograde and the eclipses that we've had in the most powerful in Vedic astrology nodal position of Gemini in the North Node and Sagittarius in the South, because it has to do with that human intelligence of the ego in the North Node evolving through awareness and the release of old attachments to old ways of connecting with the divinity, with that Sagittarius in the South, based on experience. Wisdom is based on experience, what we learn through our own experience, as opposed to the intelligence of Mercury, which rules Gemini, that is based on an ability, an ego ability to figure things out. And so they work well together when understood. But when wisdom is held as the greater virtue, then we actually are evolving. We actually are growing. And so with Sagittarius being in the South Node, conjunct Saturn, conjunct Pluto, we have this opportunity to do a tremendous amount of release of old spiritual beliefs and practices that no longer work for us, such as toxic beliefs about sin, the idea that we are separate from God. That is a very old religious teaching. And it no longer serves us as we move into an Aquarian age that is about being very clear about our divinity. Now, speaking of clarity about divinity, not everyone survives deity initiation. And that is what we're talking about. Let us be clear. We are talking about divinity initiation, an initiation into a conscious ego-soul alignment. So this full moon is an illumination with regard to where you are with that. Great Mother wants you to be very clear about where you are in relationship to that, in relationship to your soul and what your soul wants to do at this particular time about that in your life as it relates to mama drama trauma, the foundation of all relationships in your life. In our relationships, just like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, who is the poster child of mama drama trauma, each card is based on a scene in the Wizard of Oz. Along that yellow brick road journey, that hero's journey to embracing our divinity, that journey, that rites of passage to deity initiation. Because, of course, when we return home, we return to peace. We return to our true self. So this return to self requires a rebirth. It requires this dark night of the soul, which for us, being mama drama trauma, most of the planet, most people won't admit it. It is a taboo subject. But during the Aquarian age, it will become more and more prominent as an issue to be addressed. There's a reason there's an increase in suicides. There's a reason there's an increase in drug addiction. All of these are just forms of pain avoidance. And this is what is meant by not everyone survives deity initiation. Many people do not believe because they do not know that they're divine beings. They think because of the attachment to forgetfulness, attachment to the illusion of this experience, and we incarnate into this material experience in order to have the veil over our eyes, as Dorothy had the veil, the believing that Oz was the god of all gods, until she took the witch's broom, which taught her that she had the power to take her power back from an idea of an externalized God. Great Mother, Father, God is us, within us. And this is a scary thought for a culture from a planetary collective consciousness that believes it's separate from God. That's a scary thought, let alone something to integrate into one's consciousness. So we are what the Christ called a peculiar people. We know that we are in this world, but we are not of it. And so this is a little spoken word that is payment and homage to what Great Mother is inviting us to do in terms of looking at this placement of where we are. Consciousness ascends and consciousness, it forgets. We evolve. The Kundalini awakens and the Kundalini goes to sleep. We are living, breathing beings who we have periods of active conscious awareness and growth and periods of rest and fallowness, just like the soil. So that's why we learn first and foremost about our divinity identity, that we are dearly loved children of the great Mother, Father, God, who are never judged, condemned for that. Because just like the seasons, that's just like saying, in the Northern Hemisphere, we're, slowly moving into fall, although the planet is heating up and is on fire and all of these things that are happening because of our forgetfulness. There's no judgment or condemnation. There is awareness. There's a difference. And it's a very important distinction to make. There is awareness that what we're doing is either fortifying the experience of our divinity or it is detracting from it. And we get to make the free will choice. Some say, and particularly in Vedic astrology, that we do not have free will. But it is said within the context, I would hope, I understand the belief of no free will within the context of we are given the choice in our experience. We get to experience making choices so that we know if we choose to go into the direction of what does not reinforce our divinity, such as burning down the rainforest and therefore setting our entire environmental equilibrium off, is not beneficial. We get to experience that so that we learn it. Again, wisdom being the hallmark of divinity. We learn through experience, which is why we're not judged or condemned. It doesn't make sense to believe in a God that judges and condemns you for coming here to have experience. How can you have experience if you don't get to choose? So in this life, we do get to choose. It's just that in the arc of eternity, there is just one consciousness, and that is the consciousness of love. And that is what they're talking about. And since it's difficult for most people to even grasp what is being discussed here, they just go ahead and jump to the end of the story that there is no free will. It's all, love. But step by step, yes, within lifetimes, that's how we gain experience. That's how we gain wisdom about what love is. We have to learn it through experience. Great Mother's inviting us to recognize at this particular stage in our lives with this Pisces full moon in both the Western and in the Vedic, what we are choosing. Are we choosing to go away from our divinity, feeling and experiencing being dearly loved, never judged or condemned, or left alone? Or are we continuing to engender those experiences, such as mama drama trauma, in particular here with your full moon reading, that you are detracting from that experience? Which one is it? Because within this season, there are a lot of transits that are being discussed. And one specifically with the Vedic, just like Great Mother in her extended introduction, with the Pluto-Saturn conjunction in the Western astrology that has captured the imagination of astrologers. In the Vedic astrology, we are having the Gemini move from Purnavasu into Ardra Nakshatra. And we're having Sagittarius move into Mula, which is the center of the cosmos. It's the nakshatra that is the center. It's the heart, the cosmic heart of the cosmos. It is Great Mother. It is the primordial womb. And so the primordial womb is going to receive for us what we are willing, ready, and able to release. And so that's why Great Mother is wanting us to know at this particular time, those of us who are working with releasing mama drama trauma, the blame, shame, and guilt, feeling the cause, feeling that we can cure, feeling that somehow we can control mama drama trauma, and releasing all of that dysfunction is going to be tremendously supported, especially as we have in November Jupiter moving into Sagittarius as well. So lots and lots of cosmic support for us. The spoken word that I would like to share with you is this: child, mother, father, teacher, parent, scholar, a pence, a pound, a dollar, a month, a day, an hour. Years, decades, scores. Work, hobbies, chores. A house, a window, a door. Beginning, middle, end. Whole, half, empty. Physiology, biology, anatomy. Plants, seeds, soil. Sun, rain, earth. The planetary galactic search. Olmec, Toltec, Aztec, Cholula, Pyramid, Sphinx. Ego, soul, spirit, the initiation, communication, conduit. Maya 2012, the whole world, into it. Crazy, sane, normal, casual, everyday, formal. The known, unknown, and unknowable. Mystery, intrigue, certainty. Past, present, future. Galaxy, planet, light year. Stellar procession, sacred. Man, woman, offspring. Bound, insecure, free. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Night, noon, morning. Sacred, science, faith. Time, space, location. You are blessed, wanted, needed. Breathe, inspire, intention, purpose, reason. Cave, hut, house. Master, worker, slave. Moon, stars, sun. 3, 2, 1. Eternal divine self. Present, future, past. First, late, last. Dawn, day, sunset. And these are your Pisces. Shatabisha full moon readings.
Scorpio moon sign people, I'm seeing a lot of root chakra energy and heart above energy. So this is like a straight kundalini shot up from the rooter to the tutor, as they say. And so this is interesting. This is very interesting. All of this beautiful lavender third eye energy. You have 5 third eye cards too. So this is the emancipation suit. The aspire suit is the aspire suits, rather, there's 6 of them for each letter acronym. A for acknowledge for the root chakra, and E at the end of aspire for emancipation. These are the 6 steps of grieving the mother that we want in order to accept the one that we have. That is when we know we're healed from MDT. And so this Pisces full moon is an indication that you have equal energy in both emotional camps. You have a lot of emotion that is still reserved for the mother that you want. There's still a great deal of commitment to this fantasy mother, to the mother that you want your mother to be, instead of accepting who she is, where she is, what she's able, ready, and willing to do to heal her own MDT, because it is a cycle. And equal energy in accepting the mother that you have, which is your birth mother as she is, where she is, as well as great mother, the mother of all mothers. So let's see what great mother is saying to you. In your shadow position is Newt, the first root chakra card, the orphan card, the new moon card. This is the card of MDT recognition. It can be MDT denial, but that's only if we're unwilling, unable, and unavailable. This spread would have to be all heart below chakra energy. And you have such powerful heart above chakra energy that this is just kind of beginning to really recognize that your feelings of alienation and estrangement from your mother are real. You're not fooling yourself. You really are feeling alone in the world. And as a result of that, you are engaging in self-mothering. You might be really getting all of the things, external things that you want now, are having a way or access to them, whether it's clothes or food or relationships, friendships, fun, that kind of thing. I feel like this Isis full moon root chakra energy is more of a self-mothering energy to substitute for what you feel your mother should be giving you, as opposed to a self-mothering energy that is based on the love that you know that you need. Which for Scorpio, you know the love that you need. And to externalize it, that may not be serving you. Great Mother is saying that it's important that you truly do acknowledge these feelings of alienation and estrangement and what they're telling you. Our feelings are messengers. They're here to tell us things that we need to know. So whatever these feelings are telling you, it's conveying to you exactly how you need to be loved. For example, a lot of times when we feel alienated and estranged, we don't feel included. We don't feel invited to family functions, or left out of things, or not considered for things. We weren't asked to lunch, and Mama and our sister went out to lunch, and take yourself out to lunch. It's not about inviting a friend out to lunch. It's about giving yourself what you need. And it's not even about the lunch. It's about, what does that feeling convey? Is that feeling conveying to you? Because see, you have the law of ego form and manifestation. This is third eye energy. This is powerful seventh chakra third eye energy. It's imaginative. And so it's about going into that imaginative space. It's double yin energy, single yang. So that imaginative, deep, Great Mother space, and acting on it. That's the Akhenaten energy. It's the energy that says, okay, so this is what is going on, but this is what my spirit is telling me, and I'm going to act on that. So what is it that your spirit is really telling you in that emotion, in the moment that you realize you weren't invited to the lunch, for example? And you wouldn't have found out unless somebody mentioned it, because they didn't tell you, your mother and your sister, and that really made you feel a certain way. What is that way? It made me feel left out because I know they were talking about me. Well, is that true that they were talking about you? What is so bad about it? Even if they were talking about you, what's the worst thing that could happen as a result? Will they continue to collude against me? Well, what's the worst thing if they continue to collude against you? Well, they're talking about me and my kids and how okay, so what's so bad about talking about you and your kids and whatever, and really get to what your spirit is trying to say, because all of the externality of it is just surface stuff. Because in the recent past, you've come to realize that this is what you need to do, and this reading is showing you how to do it. It's showing you how to differentiate between what seems to be going on and what really is going on. Because you're doing this dance, this birth mother soulmate dance, with regard to acknowledging the fact that she is who she is. She has her limitations based on how she was raised, and she has her proclivities, and it has nothing to do with you. But she is your soulmate in order for you to recognize that you need to evolve in self-love and spiritual independence, because she's not capable, able, available in any way to give you the love that you need, which is why it's so important that you pinpoint exactly what is that love that you need and give it to yourself. You are fully expecting to acknowledge your soul contract to evolve in self-love and spiritual independence with the Acknowledge card. You really are expecting to see what Great Mother's saying to you. You want to see what this is that you need so you can move forward with the Pachamama card. The Pachamama card is all about connecting with the ground, sea, trees, and fairies to balance yourself, to earth yourself, so that you can let go of a bad situation, leave a bad situation behind. And that's a bad situation, to constantly live under the onus of feeling that you are somehow being controlled or manipulated by someone else. Stop giving them the power, and so this is what Great Mother is saying to you, that this is how you arrest that loss of power, is by grounding yourself in yourself. This Pisces full moon is 5th chakra energy for you, so it's really supporting your creative expression. Your shadow self of Inanna is allowing you to go into, again, that third eye imaginative space where we do create. And this soul space is Libran energy for you. You download like a Libra according to your moon yogas. You feel like a Scorpion and you process like a Sagittarius. So there's a lot going down in Sagittarius right now, with Jupiter about to move there in November, but Saturn is about to go direct in a couple of days. It's been retrograde since April. And so you have been fully introduced to aspects of your shadow self with regard to these feelings of alienation, abandonment, abuse, neglect, and rejection from your birth mother. You've been introduced to this shadow. You've been introduced to, in other words, how you play out the shame, blame, and guilt in your own life, and how these feelings of being controlled by others have played out in your life. And it's not that you allow it as Scorpio moon, but when you are processing the emotions, sometimes you can kind of get hung up on coming to resolve. And what Great Mother is saying is that you need to let go of the shame, blame, and guilt around the shadow self, because it's about awareness. Remember, this Pisces full moon, it's not about us being stuck in the conditioned self-criticism and self-judgment that keeps us kind of stuck in this MDT soup and cycle. It's about recognizing the feeling and realizing that the emotion is about what we think about that feeling. And so all of these thoughts, again, around our example of the luncheon with our mother and sister that they had without us, those are all thoughts about that feeling of Newt, about that feeling, root chakra, new moon feeling of the orphan. That's the feeling. But the power comes, that creative 5th house Pisces power comes from deciding how you're going to think about that. That's what you have the power to do. And this is scary with Kali here, first quarter root chakra energy. This is a scary proposition because, let's face it, you have a lot of power. And you know that you have a lot of power. And sometimes when we have a lot of power, we can be scared of ourselves once we make a decision on how to use it. You don't need to be afraid. You are connecting to the part of yourself that is the most healthy, that is the most balanced, that is the most whole. That's why it's such a struggle. And you are acknowledging your soul contract to evolve in self-love and spiritual independence. Therefore, that's what you're aligning with. Self-love does not mean love at the exclusion of others. Self-love means love available due to the expansion of love in your life. So the hidden influence that's active here is that you're freeing yourself of all of this. This is where we go from the rooter to the tutor, whoop, from the root chakra up. I mean, just straight through to the third eye with this emancipation balsamic moon energy. You are downloading directly from Great Mother, this divine power. And so it's not a power that is from your own mind because of the monkey mind machinations of just kind of being swept away by the rejection, abandonment, abuse of, how you feel about your mother and your sister going to lunch without you. It's about taking charge of your thoughts about that is freeing you to operate in your divine power and experience that divine peace that comes with it. That's what it's about. And so this third eye energy, which is very sagacious, having so much of an influence with you emotionally processing at this time, I can see why the root chakra is so influential, because the root chakra is ruled by Saturn, which is in Sagittarius now as well. So your entire deal in terms of processing mama drama trauma is at the forefront of your emotional life, and it's being supported by Great Mother. Great Mother rules the third chakra. Okay, and so she's right here with you. She's right here with you in your embodiment position, Ra. She's right here with you with the sun god Ra. The sun rules, the pituitary, and so the pineal is Great Mother, and so, Great Mother, Father God, in the third eye here, you have the embodiment of your gifts, your talents, and abilities. People wouldn't know that you're going through all of this emotionally unless you told them. They would not know. They simply would not know. You're at the end of your sati sati as well, Scorpio moon sign people. So you are at a place where you are beginning to kind of move out of, let's say, the thicket of mama drama trauma, because you do have the Pachamama card, leaving a bad situation behind, but you're kind of doing that revision before the final examination. And sometimes that revision brings up stuff that, I forgot all about that. That's going to be on the test. And it's not about being tested by Great Mother, Father God. We already are dearly loved divine children of Great Mother, Father God. It's about us proving it to ourselves. We don't buy it until we feel it in our own spirit. And as you begin to trust this process and engage this process of taking charge of your thoughts about your emotions, Mayat, the Justice card, the first quarter moon card, that heart and that feather being weighed, your authenticity, your integrity, weighing really how you choose to think about these situations is going to have more to do with you sifting your thoughts through your divinity identity of being a dearly loved child of the Great Mother, Father God, who's never judged, condemned, and left alone, instead of MDT, shame, blame, and guilt. And so Great Mother's advice to you in this process is to, and this is your only fifth chakra card. So fifth chakra is mercurial. It rules Gemini and Virgo. Gemini is in the north node. Okay, Sagittarius is K2, the south node right now. So you're releasing a lot of these old ways that you would feel and think about situations for a higher vibration. And so you're going to be communicating from a higher vibration. And Great Mother's advising you as you stand at this crossroads to remember that as a dearly loved child of the Great Mother, Father, God, you have the birthright to be happy, healthy, and whole, and move forward with the understanding of both. Sift everything through your divinity identity and your birthright. In other words, the thoughts that come to you, because we are triggered, throughout our lives. A mother bond is the most powerful, influential thing in our lives. And so different things trigger it at different times in our lives. We heal it throughout our lives. And so she's saying that as you move forward and you're feeling this sense of less and less, it becomes less and less. The triggers no longer become tailspins, and eventually the triggers are not even something that you have to consciously practice bringing back into balance. It just becomes something that you recognize requires this immediate mental shift. And you do that automatically because it's so beneficial. That's the advice that Great Mother has for you. That is the mental practice as opposed to falling into those tailspins. Take this practice with you moving forward. And as you do, it's quite possible that with your heart chakra card here, Kuan Yin, both of your throat chakra and your heart chakra here are crescent moon cards, this planting phase. So planting the seeds of moving forward with divinity identity in your birthright, and planting the seeds of doing that brings you more self-compassion and therefore compassion toward others. This is the kind of heart chakra energy you need to bring the root chakra and your third eye in alignment. In other words, the heart chakra is the crossroads of the ego and the soul. And you're doing that quite possibly with this practice of compassion and of sifting thought through awareness. This is providing for a future of body, mind, soul alignment where you really begin to experience your life with more and more happiness, with more and more wholeness, with more and more wellness, body, mind, and soul. So it no longer becomes a question of is this internal or external, but it's more of experiencing happiness, health, and wholeness, and completely, internally and externally. Your internal life is reflected in your external world. Right now there's a gap with this root chakra to the third eye, but with what Great Mother's sharing with you this Pisces full moon, you will close that gap and you will free yourself to live in your divine power and peace. And by doing this, your ultimate outcome is the law of Divine Father. This is second chakra, your desires, being, doing, and having what your soul came here to be, do, and have, that creative space that this Pisces full moon brings up for you. Ultimately, it is about releasing all those things that do not allow you to align with that ultimate purpose. Receiving what you need to receive from Great Mother to create what you need to create in your life, becoming a natural process for you. And so although you may feel that you're struggling with that now, Great Mother has given you the tools and the steps to overcome that in your Pisces full moon reading. Wow. Very good, Scorpio moon sign. Very good. Very good. If you are interested in doing these readings for yourself, sign up for the 8-week tutorial beginning November 3rd to December 22nd. I don't have many decks left, so you would need to do that because I think that it's going to help you. The whole point of the Great Mother Speaks Oracle deck is a gift for us to heal MDT. And that's what you're doing. And you have the capacity to read the signs and symbols. And I think that a daily practice, if not a weekly practice of doing your own readings, is going to give you more specifics with regard to what you personally need to do. And you can also get a personal reading at greatmotherspeaks.info, but the links are below. Thanks so much for watching, sharing, and liking. But above all and most of all, remember, Great Mother loves you, and I do too.
Great Mother speaks. I am Great Mother, Holy Spirit, Yin, Divine Mother, Cosmic Moon, Deep Space, the Moon,